Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Highly subscribe so that you can get notified when any video is dropped.
In our last story, we heard about the Tower of Babel. The people tried to build a tall tower so they could make a name for themselves, but God saw their pride. So God confused their language, and the people could no longer understand one another. Because of this, people scattered across the earth and began to live in different lands.
Many years passed after that.
Families grew bigger.
Nations began to form.
Some people still remembered God, but many people forgot about Him. Then one day, God chose a man for a very special purpose. That man's name was Abraham. Abraham lived in a city called Ur. It was a busy city with many people.
Abraham lived there with his wife Sarah and his family. One day, God spoke to Abraham.
God said, "Leave your country, leave your people, leave your father's house. Go to the land that I will show you." God also made a wonderful promise. God said, "I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. And through you, all the families of the earth will be blessed." This was a big promise.
But Abraham had no children yet, and he was already getting old. Still, Abraham believed God.
So Abraham obeyed. He left his home. He took his wife Sarah and his nephew Lot.
Together, they began a long journey. They traveled across hills, deserts, and valleys. After many days, they reached a land called Canaan.
When Abraham arrived in Canaan, God spoke to him again.
God told Abraham that this land would belong to his children one day. Abraham was thankful, so he built an altar and worshiped God. As time passed, Abraham's family grew larger. Lot's family also grew larger. They had many sheep, goats, and cattle. Soon the land could not support all their animals.
Shepherds of Abraham and the shepherds of Lot began to argue. Their flocks were growing and the land couldn't support them. Abraham did not want fighting in the family. So Abraham spoke kindly to Lot. "Let there be no arguing between us. We are family. You choose the land you want.
If you go one way, I will go the other way." Lot looked around.
He saw a land that was green and beautiful. It had plenty of water.
So Lot chose that land and moved there. Abraham stayed in the land of Canaan.
After Lot left, God spoke to Abraham again. God said, "Look around you.
All the land you see, I will give to you and your children.
Your family will become very many, like the dust of the earth." Again, Abraham believed God.
Many years passed. Abraham and Sarah were getting very old.
Sometimes Abraham wondered how God's promise would happen. One night, God spoke to Abraham again. God took him outside and said, "Look up at the sky. Count the stars if you can." The sky was full of stars.
There were too many to count. Then God said, "That is how many descendants you will have." Abraham believed God, but Sarah was worried.
She thought she was too old to have a baby. Many years passed, and Abraham and Sarah were still waiting for the child God had promised. Sarah began to worry. She thought maybe the promise would not happen through her. At that time, Sarah had a servant named Hagar.
One day Sarah said to Abraham, "Maybe the child God promised will come through my servant Hagar."
Abraham listened to Sarah, so Hagar became Abraham's wife, and Hagar had a baby boy.
They named the baby Ishmael, but this situation soon became difficult.
Hagar and Sarah began to have problems with each other.
Sarah became upset, and Hagar became unhappy. One day Hagar ran away into the desert, but God saw her there.
An angel of God spoke to Hagar and comforted her. The angel told her to go back. So Hagar returned, and Ishmael grew up in Abraham's household. Many years later, God spoke to Abraham again.
God reminded him of his promise. God said that Sarah herself would still have a son.
One day, Abraham was sitting outside his tent.
Suddenly, he saw 3 visitors coming toward him. Abraham welcomed them kindly. He asked Sarah to prepare food for them. After they ate, the visitors shared surprising news. They said that Sarah would have a son. Sarah was listening from inside the tent. When she heard this, she laughed quietly.
She thought it was impossible. She and Abram were already very old. But one of the visitors said, "Is anything too hard for God?" And the visitors were right.
The next year, something wonderful happened. Sarah had a baby boy. Just as God had promised, they named the baby Isaac.
Abraham and Sarah were filled with joy. God had kept his promise.
Isaac grew up in the family. He was the special son that God had promised. One day, God tested Abraham's faith. God asked Abraham to do something very difficult. God told Abraham to take Isaac to a mountain. There, Abraham was to offer Isaac to God. Abraham loved his son very much, but he trusted God, so Abraham obeyed. He traveled with Isaac to the mountain. When they arrived, Abraham built an altar.
But just as Abraham was about to obey God fully, God stopped him.
God called out, "Abraham, do not harm the boy." God had only been testing Abraham. God saw that Abraham truly trusted him. Nearby, Abraham saw a ram caught in a bush.
So Abraham offered the ram instead. God then blessed Abraham again.
God said that through his family, many people on the earth would be blessed.
The story of Abraham teaches us something very important.
Abraham trusted God even when things seemed impossible.
He believed God's promises, and God always keeps his promises. And that is the story of Abraham, a man who trusted God.
A man who followed God.
Even when the journey was not easy, he kept his faith, and he was blessed.
And through Abraham's family, God would one day bring someone very special into the world.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video. Share it with someone and subscribe for more simple Bible stories. See you in the next story.